Welcome to Fear and Greed Sunday feature. I'm Michael Thompson. This week we talked about Jensen Huang, the co-founder of chipmaker NVIDIA. Because of the incredible surge in NVIDIA's share price, he now has a fortune worth around $92 billion US. That makes him the 17th richest person in the world. Now, when we're talking about this through the week, Sean mentioned that Mr. Huang is now richer than the Walton family members. They are the descendants of the creators of the Walmart retail giant. And that reminded me of this terrific interview. It really is a good one from 2021 when Sean spoke to Dr. Kathleen Adams from RMIT about the extraordinary history of Walmart, where it came from, how it got to be so big, and why you will not find a Walmart in Australia. It is a great interview. I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to the Fear and Greed Daily Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. Walmart is a retail icon in the United States with 2.2 million employees worldwide. It's the largest private employer in the world. And the Walton family that still owns a majority share of the company is collectively the wealthiest family on the planet, worth around $250 billion US. But despite global expansion, the department and grocery store behemoth has never made it to Australia. I wanted to take a closer look at why Walmart has been so successful, what set it apart from the rest of the world of retail, and then why there isn't one in every Australian town and city. Dr. Kathleen Adams is a lecturer in marketing at RMIT and is my guest this morning. Kathleen, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thank you very much, Sean, and Fear and Greed for inviting me here today.
For those who don't know it, just how big is Walmart, the company?
Well, you were pretty right in your introduction, Sean. Walmart currently has 2.2 million associates, and that's what we would call employees, but I'll come back to that, and 11,000 stores and 200 million customers every week. It's in another 25, 27 countries, and so there's 5,900 retail stores in the global world with more than 700,000 associates, and they serve more than 100 million customers every week. So we've got American statistics, we've got international statistics, but I'm sure this next statistic will blow your mind like it did mine. Last financial year, and their financial year ended in January this year, their revenue was $559 billion US.
Wow, $500 billion US.
Exactly. So they're big.
They're big. Just for people who haven't been to a Walmart, give me a taste of the stores and kind of the products they sell. The thing I always remember about Walmart is, in Australia you have a supermarket and then you have a department store, for want of a better term, whereas Walmart really is both together.
Absolutely they are. I was thinking about when I first experienced Walmart. It was quite amazing. I went to a Sam's Club store back in 1991 and they hadn't been around for very much. We had nothing like it in Australia at that time. Walmart stores or other brands sort of like ride themselves on being one-stop shopping, and they have, of course, our everyday low prices. Now, this Sam's Club, I walked in, it was like a huge warehouse with just about everything you could possibly buy in it. Now, I remember buying some Ray-Ban sunglasses, which were pretty cool at the time. And then I turned the corner and there was this amazing range of food and clothes and electric stuff. And, I sort of didn't understand at the front door that I was picking up this enormous shopping trolley, but I certainly understood very quickly
by the end of
that I would fill it up.
Sam's Club is a part of Walmart and they're something akin to Costco. Is that all right? Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it is. Costco, when it started in Australia, I think they came to Australia in about 2009, and their first store was down in Melbourne's Docklands. Now, when they came, it was straight after the global financial crisis, so that was interesting. There are other Walmart stores. I also visited a normal Walmart store, if I can call it that, and they both had everything. They had a pharmacy, clothing and accessories, big grocery stores. Yeah.
Lots of guns.
That went well with bakery and deli and dairy right. products, didn't it? Electronics, toys, home furnishings. The one that I visited at the time, it was in a shopping mall, so they had all the extra normal shops. But some Walmarts have got banks, hair and nail salons, health and beauty, hardware, restaurants, vision centres. The list really goes on, but I'll have to remember the guns.
The guns. The thing about Walmart also is that you just mentioned that it was in a mall, but I think I'm right in saying that many of the Walmarts are actually standalone stores.
Absolutely, they are.
Yeah, which is a bit different to Australia.
Yes.
So it's a destination in a sense. It's not like you're going to a mall and going to a bunch of stores. The destination is Walmart.
Yes, it is. And it's very much, our closest equivalent would be, as we just discussed, Costco. And I remember going there and just, wow, this is Sam's. Again, it's not obviously owned by the Walton family in Costco, but it definitely is, like a Walmart supercenter.
So Sam's Club, which is part of Walmart, now that's named after Sam Walton, who actually started Walmart back in the early 60s in Arkansas, I think. Can you give me a sort of a potted history of the company since then?
I'll try. I mean, that might take the rest of our time today, but I'll do my best.
The thumbnail sketch.
Okay, well, as you said, the first store opened in 1962. I'm going to sort of try and blow your mind with the figures. By 1967, they had 24 stores, but they had $12.7 million in sales, and that's a lot of money in 1967. In 1970, it became a public traded company. Now, their first stock was sold at $16.50 per share. Now, I looked up yesterday what they were trading for, and they're trading for $141 per share. Good thing if you can keep it that long. Now, in 1980, they'd reached the magic mark of $1 billion in annual sales. We had 276 stores and 21,000 associates. It's relevant to sort of say those figures because, many years later, those figures were very different. 1983, Sam's Club opened. 1990, they were declared the number one retailer in the world. They were convenience and one-stop shopping, everyday low prices. Now, when I hear these convenience and one-stop shopping and everyday low prices, my brain gets full of Coles and Woolworths using these slogans, or at least pretty much the same. 1992 was an interesting year because he brought out the saying that save people money so that they can live better is what he wanted Walmart to do. And in that same year, he passed away, aged 74. By 1997, they had their first 100 billion sales in the year. Now, I'll try and be really quick on what happened since 2000. So in 2000, Walmart.com is founded for US customers only to shop online. At that point, they had 1.1 million associates and 4,000 stores. In 2002, they topped the Fortune 500 rankings of US's largest companies. I'll skip a few years because it just becomes more and more and more. But in 2015, they had 2.2 million associates that you started off with, and also those 200 million customers per week, 11,000 stores, and 27 countries. So there you go, a bit of a potted history of how Walmart grew.
Stay with me, Kathleen. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Dr. Kathleen Adams, a lecturer in marketing at RMIT. A lot of the things that Walmart did, even though they haven't come to Australia, were exported to Australia. So I know Roger Corbett, who used to run Woolworths, was a massive Walmart fan. In fact, he may even have been possibly even on the board, but certainly on an advisory board of the Walmart retailers. And so a lot of the ideas that Woolies bought really came from Walmart.
Absolutely. I think, as you said, as I just said, Coles and Walmart started with the slogans, but they definitely, every time they refresh their stores, they sort of see them as becoming more and more like Walmart.
Yeah. So the company spread across the world and went to North America first and then China, UK, India, etc. How successful is it outside the US? Because to my mind, it's a very American experience going to a Walmart.
Absolutely. And not everything went to their plan. They have some pretty good disasters. I'll come back to Germany, but that was the major one, Korea, and even Japan. Now, the company was really stuck there. They have a completely different culture, different competition, different supply chain. And of course, we have to sneak Amazon into the discussion. So they went to the UK and that wasn't successful. So they're selling their supermarket chain to Sainsbury's, and it was 19 years after they bought it. So they've had to sell off stores. Like they made a $1 billion loss, and in Germany, it had basically Europe, and they had to withdraw. And Germany doesn't allow price cuts. So every retailer there had matching prices, and Walmart couldn't really offer anything that others weren't offering. Germany was a big problem, and they certainly learned that there was cultural friction between the US and the German team. So, of course, while Walmart was running their stores, it's not as if retailers like stood still like Amazon. They were introducing things and selling their products at much lower prices than Walmart. I can't believe that would actually happen. But, they continue working in Japan, and they spend a lot of time getting some online grocery help. They seem to buy stores that can help them with online service.
What about China?
China, they're still there. A few years ago, I was working in China for a little while, and I went into one in Suzhou, which is a couple of hours sort of south of Shanghai. And I walked in, and it didn't impress me very much. It looked sort of a bit tired, but Chinese, there's so many of them, so many stores. They go in. The novelty of going into a Walmart in China is still pretty amazing. But the Chinese, like others, certainly look for the best deal. And so I think that's sort of what's going on in China. They're there, they're making money. They're not going to be removing themselves from that place or that country soon at all.
So why do you think Walmart never made it to Australia?
That's a really good question. And I'm sure they looked at us. But we're a country with only about 25 million people, and that's always been a problem for mass retailers that wanted to come to Australia. We've got a really strict minimum wage of $19.84. We also have, of course, we know 4 weeks paid annual leave, sick leave, and even superannuation. So if we put those all together, it all adds up. In addition, we've had a lot of large retailers who had trouble. The stores that closed that I can think of off my top of my head was Daimaru. I worked for them a couple of years. The Levi Specialty Store, Toys R Us. I'm sure I've forgotten them all. And as we know at the moment, many Target stores are currently shutting down or being rebirthed as a Kmart store. So it doesn't look really good for Walmart looking in Australia.
And I suppose in the grocery part of it, Coles and Woolies are such dominant players, but you also have Aldi and Metcash/IGA and even Costco to some extent.
Yeah, and they were talking about Lidl, the other one, sort of like Aldi spelt differently from Germany coming, and I understand that that's almost on hold because of the things we're going through at the moment.
There have been retailers in the US that haven't transferred as well to Australia. I mean, I'm thinking Starbucks is another one that is everywhere in the US, but kind of didn't work in Australia. And Starbucks certainly didn't work in parts of Europe as well, Italy, those sorts of places. What is it, I suppose, that makes Walmart so successful in the US, but not necessarily, I mean, you've given us a few examples where it hasn't done so well. What is it that makes it so successful in the US? Is it basically low prices? But then presumably Amazon means that's not enough anymore.
Well, I think there's another side to Walmart, and I don't think lower prices is enough, and I don't think lower prices is their reason for being. They've got an incredible culture, and they've got really progressive ideas on minimum wage and also employee benefit. So everything that they do, probably other stores in America go, no, not you again. So in 2015, they raised the minimum wage to $9 an hour. Now, this kept going. 2016, they raised the average wage or the hourly wage to about $13.50. And everybody complained about that. But they have other secrets for their associates. Every year, they have about 160 associates, and they're promoted to jobs with higher pay. And they've also been provided with extra benefits like, maternity and parental year. And of course, all these measures make their staff happy to come to work. And if they're happy to come to work, they're going to smile, they're going to be loyal. And I think that's something that nobody else can really copy. I think that's their competitive advantage. And I think they're part of, why they're so successful.
They've also been quite progressive on climate change and some of those things too, I think.
Oh, absolutely. They've made some big commitments, as some examples are, and I'll try and keep this short. They've contributed $18 million and 2,500 truckloads of supplies to the victims of Hurricanes Katrina and Rita in 2005. They then went on to commit $2 billion between 2010 and 2015 to help end hunger in the US. This is not retailer speak. This is completely different. So they also launched a global commitment to sustainable agriculture. Okay, they've asked their suppliers to help reduce greenhouse gas emissions from their supply chain. Okay, and they're all examples of them being, agile and moving quickly as time changed. But one of the things that I remember, the publicity in 2013 when they announced they would hire any honourably discharged veteran within their first year after active duty. So there's a lot of things that they are doing that no other big retailer is doing. And as I said before, I think that gives them a competitive advantage.
We'll be back in a minute. I'm talking to Dr Kathleen Adams, marketing lecturer at RMIT. Now, the flip side, and when I lived in the US, there was a lot of debate over the pressure they put on suppliers, though. So they have been criticised over time because they're such a big company. If you want to be successful, you've got to be in Walmart. But if you're in Walmart, they then start to screw you after a couple of years. That was the argument anyway. What do you think about that idea?
Absolutely. I think having worked in the retail industry for so long myself, and for big ones, big companies like Myer and Daimaru and smaller companies like Jackie Yee, I do remember about just what you're saying about starting off with certain prices, and then every year the suppliers have to sell them for usually cheaper. And we all know that cost of living doesn't stand still, so it really meant a big reduction for those suppliers. But they have to do it, because if they don't do it, they'll be chucked out of the store like Walmart. And so if they've put all their eggs in one basket, then that's destroys them as a supplier pretty much. And so they have to just keep on agreeing to these low prices. A bit of negotiation, but probably not much.
Yeah, fair enough. So what next for Walmart? Can it keep growing, or sort of is it saturated the market? What do you think?
I think they're going to keep growing, but maybe more so in its American stores. Okay. They stay on top of the latest tech systems. That's the amazing part about them. They're continually looking for the latest tech. They are continually looking for more online help. And when they move to another country, they basically buy a tech store. They stay on top of that, but the big one is that they continually look after and promote their excellent associates each year. And because they've increased that minimum wage, as I said before, they've got loyal employees and they give excellent service. Like, they have a greeter at the front, which we do have in Kmart or Target, but they get the trolley out for you. They basically get you organised, and they do look after the more elderly customers very well. So they've got this loyal employees and they provide this excellent service. So I think I'd almost say that Walmart in the US is probably one of the happiest places to work.
Fantastic. Kathleen, thanks for talking to Fear and Greed.
You're very welcome. I hope you've enjoyed finding out some more about Walmart. I certainly have enjoyed talking to you.
Sure have. That was Dr Kathleen Adams, a lecturer in marketing at RMIT. This is a Fear and Greed Daily Interview. Join me every morning for the full Fear and Greed podcast with all the business news you need to know. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.